Today I wanted to talk about a card that I was looking at recently, and it's not even a new card or anything. It's been out for a few years at this point. It's this card right here, Cryptic Trilobite. So when I saw this card, I thought, this seems pretty good. It seems like it has a lot of combo potential. I bet that it goes in a lot of decks. So I checked which decks it goes in, and I was surprised to find not that many. This card is way less popular than I thought it would be. And that was surprising to me because looking at the card, it seems like this should be a really breakable card. What I mean by that is the attributes of it look like they should allow you to do some pretty unfair things. So then I was trying to think of a card that appears more breakable than this card, and I couldn't. So there are a few reasons why this seems like such a breakable card to me. We'll go over those now. The first one is that it's colorless. Very simple is you can put this in literally any deck. So it's very flexible in that regard, but it's flexible in another regard also for its mana cost. It's XX, which means it could be pretty much any mana cost. You could even pay 0 for this. So you can put it in any deck and you can pay anything for its mana cost. So let's take a look at what it actually does. As I said, it costs XX. It's a creature, Trilobite. I think this is the only Trilobite, isn't it? Are there any other Trilobites in Magic? I'm not sure. If there are, tell me. It enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. So if you pay 2 into X, it comes in with a 1/1 counter being a 1/1. If you pay 4, it's a 2/2. You can remove a 1/1 counter from it to add 2 colorless to your mana pool, but you can spend that mana only to activate abilities. Or you can pay 1, tap it, and put a 1/1 counter on it. So some of these abilities seem like they should be very easily abusable. This one in particular, you can remove a +1/+1 counter from it to add 2 colorless mana. One thing that makes this very powerful is that you can do this anytime you want without paying any kind of cost. You know, if you have a counter on this, at any time you can just remove it and use this ability. But what's even more powerful is that at instant speed, you're going up resources because you're removing 1 counter to get 2 mana. But then you get to the part that kind of brings you back down to reality, and I guess is probably the whole reason why this card isn't as broken as it initially appears to be. Spend this mana only to activate abilities, so that part really limits what you can do with this ability. However, there's more to the card though. You can pay 1 and tap it to put a +1/+1 counter on it. So this card also fuels itself, so it can go in any deck, you can pay any mana value for it, you can use this ability at instant speed to go up resources, and the card fuels itself. So it seems like the card has so much potential, but at the same time, it doesn't really do a whole lot in the current day Magic. That's not to say that it doesn't see play at all, because it does see play and it does combo with things. It looks like the main reason this card is played is to combo with this card right here. Not sure how to pronounce this name, possibly Gave. I'm gonna go with Gave because it sounds like Dave. Gave, Guru of Spores. So it is an infinite combo with this. There are many different things you can build around this combo because it essentially gives you infinite creatures entering and leaving the battlefield. Because what you would do is, if you have counters on this, you could remove a counter from it to add 2 colorless, spend the colorless to remove a counter from this, create a Saproling, then you can spend your other colorless that you have floating to sacrifice the Saproling, put a counter on this, do that infinitely, and you'll get infinite Saprolings, giving you infinite enter and leaving the battlefield triggers. But then in order to make that actually useful, you need to add in a 3rd card to actually do something. And when you get into 3-card combos, they are still quite powerful, but it's definitely a step down from a 2-card combo. But outside of comboing with this card, and I think there's also some combos with Marath, which is just surprising to me, I guess, is also the reason I'm making this video, is because I would expect this to see play in other places, for the reasons I outlined before, but also because this looks so similar to some other cards that are very powerful and saw play in many other places. First one is this card right here, Hangerback Walker. As you can see, they're both colorless, they both share the same mana cost. They even have the exact same last ability here. You can pay 1 and tap it to put a +1/+1 counter on it. If you played Standard around 2015, I'm sure you're very familiar with Hangerback Walker, because this card was all over the place. This was quite a valuable rare at the time. I believe it briefly saw play in some other formats, but never really caught on. But this was a very powerful card back in the day. And there's another card this looks similar to. This card right here, Walking Ballista. Once again, same mana cost. Also very powerful in Standard. This one did break into other formats. I believe it got banned in at least one as well. So probably you might be more familiar with Walking Ballista than you are with Hangerback Walker. But once again, these cards do at least look very similar. And then there's another card that this looks very similar to, probably the most splashy one, which is this card right here, Chalice of the Void. As you can see, I don't actually have a copy of it, so we'll put a picture of it up for you. But yes, Chalice of the Void, once again, colorless card, has the same mana cost, very powerful, sees play in multiple formats, also quite expensive. So despite looking so similar to these very powerful and, in some respects, broken cards, this Cryptic Trilobite here just hasn't really done a whole lot. And as I said, it's not a new card or anything, it's been out for a few years. And I guess that the main difference, the thing that's really holding it back from being on the same level as these other cards, is that while this card is colorless, it's not an artifact. It's just a creature. And it may seem like a small thing, but it is a very big difference. Because the fact that it's not an artifact means that you lose out on all of the artifact synergies that these other cards kind of get to play on. And you don't really get any benefit from its creature type, because, if it was maybe like a human or an elf or something, you would be able to get creature type synergies with that. But unfortunately, Trilobite right here, while it's very cool, it's not really doing much for you gameplay-wise. So there's the fact that it's not an artifact, you get no creature type synergies, and then the thing that really holds it back is you can only spend the mana to activate abilities. Those would be the reasons why this card isn't as broken as it appears to be, but it just got me wondering, is there any other card that, at least on the surface level, appears more breakable than this card potentially could be? There probably are, because there are, 50,000 plus Magic cards, so let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know of any cards in particular that you think might be more breakable than this one. That's why I wanted to talk about today, though, and if nothing else, it's still a pretty cool card. How often do you get to play a Trilobite creature? Anyway, though, if you're still watching, thanks for watching. It'd be cool if you can like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. I'd encourage everyone to come join my Discord server. You can find a link to that in the video description below. And if you'd like to purchase any Magic cards, maybe get yourself a Trilobite right here, you can get those by going to facetofacegames.com. They're the largest Magic store in Canada, and they're also a sponsor of the channel. And if you use code 8thPlaceDave at the checkout, you can save 5% on your order. Otherwise, though, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.